script. No. I got I should activate.
Here we come, there they go. People rise, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You will soon, you see our pose. Tension, energize. Let's go. Time to ride. Combine. Grease ties.
Greetings, salutations, and generic ad-lib pleasantries. I'm Gazbot. This is Action Activate, and if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, then with me, as always, is
It is I. It is the big dog. We're here in the final countdown. We have 2 episodes left of Mystic Force. After we are done reviewing this, we're just going to have 1.
That's true. This is the penultimate episode, hence my Mystic Penultimate, which I don't know if I spelled right, but I put it there.
I think you did. I think you're good.
Okay.
Speaking of the penultimate review,
Yes.
what's your initial take on this episode?
I'll take you. This is the Cliff Notes journey I went on. Okay, here we go. This is going to be the big final thing. Like, oh, this is weird. That was all right. Oh, this is cool. Okay, oh, there's a lot going on. Wow. Okay, that was a lot. That's the journey I took. How about
This
you?
is my penultimate groan / bottom half. Don't know where it ranks, but bottom half of Ranger seasons easily. But
No, continue.
yeah. No, like you
So I
kind of
think
said it
based
best.
on that, I liked it more than you did.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you getting a delay?
I have a slight delay.
Okay. I said it best in what way?
That a lot of my gripes with this are things felt both rushed and dragged, and just all the negative feelings I can think of in terms of story development seem to happen where parts of it I'm like, I feel like you could have explained how all of these fights are happening, and then other stuff it's like, wait, I'm not even fully following what's going on. Like as we dig into it, it'll like this beginning part worthless. No need for this waste of time.
What I didn't like about it was that they're sparring, and he's like, we fought lots of times. He's like, yeah, but now we're training. But he's like, your magic needs to be strong. They're fighting with swords. This is like hand-to-hand combat. That he's not. I would have liked it more if he's like, here's a fire spell, and he counters with a ice spell, and he's like, no, but don't just use ice because the master, like it should be more of that kind of thing. This is just like, who's strongest? I'm like, okay, but you're not going to beat the master with strength, I thought. Like, so
This episode had 3 different instances of one person annihilating the other person, and then for some reason the plot still continued forward.
yeah. Also, this lady, the I forget her name, but the Egyptian lady.
Yeah.
Last time I was saying how she was kind of consistent in the sense that like she was like, well, I'm not really interested in conquering the world. I just like knowledge and all this stuff. It's like, okay, it didn't make her good. It just like explained her motivations are a little different. This time, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it was sort of like, they're like, you just listen to whatever the master says. She's like, oh, you're right. I quit. And then was like, well, I guess you're going to kill me. It's like, what? Like,
That was, it made no sense to me.
She got flipped from being a devoted servant of the master and the rules to like, no, I want to do my own thing. But also just like, well, I guess you're going to, not like I'm going to run away and hide. Not I'm going to fight you. Just like
Everything about that I did not like, because if they used parts of it and not the whole thing, I would have been okay with it. It was kind of like a peanut butter and mayonnaise bacon sandwich. You're like, if you took these things individually, just one of them, we'd have an okay sandwich. All 3 of them together, awful.
I also think, and that would be spreading it out. If this was over the course of a few episodes, and that's my gripe with a lot of this stuff, that they're not necessarily bad, but just like that. Like they had already started an interesting arc with her. They could have spread out. So part of the crime is like, why are you rushing things in this episode? But the other part is we had lots of episodes with stuff that would have benefited from having some of this stuff in it earlier, which they didn't.
The amount of time they spent on her agreeing to fight, fighting, turning her back on everybody she's been aligned with all season, and then accepting death was almost as long as what's his name getting fired from the record store.
Yeah. And we are getting ahead. This is the part where Necrolize basically, my daughter's up there, and the terror that we were just speaking of did like, oh yeah, no, we'll protect her, sure. The other was like, no, we won't. Like, oh, okay.
The other thing too, she didn't care about her this whole time.
I take that. I'm okay with that because she's evil. I take it as like a narcissist, a sociopath who's like doesn't really care about their child, but it's like, well, it reflects badly on like my child is part of me, and as part of me, you should protect. Like I took it as that kind of thing. It didn't bother me.
It was another shrug of like inconsistent, but whatever.
Here we are in the record store with the full team, plus
not doing a thing, not doing a dang thing.
Now, here's the other thing: like, Toby saying like we haven't had a customer in forever. I don't know if you've worked this kind of retail, especially in mom and pop. Like I have a fair amount of retail experience and several mom and pop stores. When things are slow, they're like, who wants to go home? Because I'm not paying all five of you. Okay, you go break up boxes in the back. You stay here in case someone comes in. You guys go home. Like that's how it goes. They don't just like, well, I guess I'm paying. Like so that bothers me. But yeah, but they do explain that Phineas is the reason why everyone's going home.
So the way that they dressed this random customer made me think it was Necroli in disguise.
I was sure it was Necroli. Until she got scared. You're right. And especially because it cuts to that. Like, well, she's in trouble. And then, yeah, that was... I mean, if it was an intentional fake out, good for them, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was a bad red herring. Like, I didn't appreciate it.
I guess she's not a fan of nose flute music.
Because also the thing that frustrated me is both of us assumed it was Necroli, and I, in my head, already played out like, oh, she's coming up here to warn them that the terrorists are going to attack the city and stuff. Oh, none of that happened. Not a thing.
No, but they did spend a lot of time firing Phineas, as you said.
Yeah.
And then, this
we
is where
immediately jump in, have this fight. Everybody gets annihilated immediately.
They're in their super mode and they're getting wiped out. And here's the thing: not only are they getting wiped out, but she's like, I'm a terror. Your magic is ridiculous. Or no, maybe that was the other one that says it. But like, they've defeated so many terrors, and she knows they've defeated terrors. She asked them a question about it last time. So
and Nick powers up, still gets like two tapped the whole time.
Yeah. This is just me and my weird head. Xander's the green one, right? Yeah. Xander, who's had the least character development of anybody. He's just like, I'm lazy and I like girls, I guess. He was trying to hit on the girl in the record shop. The very next scene, he's the only one standing toe to toe with her. And like he survives and he lands and he's doing the lines. And I don't know why, but in my head, I'm like, oh, is she going to be like, I respect this? And like, I kind of respect you. And like, I don't know, have some kind of weird tension. It didn't happen and it shouldn't happen, but that's just where my head went. I once again was like, how are they going to explain the Rangers not being annihilated right now? I mean, we're in the finale. Maybe it happens and they lose their powers for the 9th time this season, but who knows? Oh, she is the one that says your powers mean nothing, which again, contradicts to the last episode, but whatever. But yeah. And also this whole thing, I'm like, there is zero reason why I will ever believe that they can beat the Master. Zero. Right. No, absolutely none. They should not be able, goes back to my thing of, and we don't know how they beat them. Obviously, they do at some point. Of the training, the sparring with Leanbow, I feel like he should have been like, here's how you resist the evil magic with your mind, and here's some tricks, and like like if you're a Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi going up against the Emperor, it's not like make sure you practice your lightsaber moves. That is not what you should be training. Like, well, also like I haven't seen the next episode. I don't think. So this is just conjecture, but like, I feel like that they clearly don't have the magic ability or the fighting prowess to beat most of the people last like dozen episodes. Yes. Yeah. They're not even leaning into the heart of the cards, friendship is magic kind of trope, which also frustrates me. Cause I'm like, if you're going to have a MacGuffin, play up the MacGuffin. You're just showing them getting beaten all the time. I agree. I go back to Xander continuously not having that character development and the fact that they talk about like courage and self-sacrifice and love and all that like it's got to be Xander taking some kind of hit. I'm not saying it'll redeem the entire series, but if that's what they're building towards, it's like, okay, at least that paid off with Xander like sacrificing himself in some way. If not, then it really is absolutely for nothing.
Yeah, all this, like, he's powered up, not even remotely phased. Like, all of these fights, there's not even they get a lucky punch in. There's none of that. They just
I guess
immediately get.
He stands up, but he takes more damage than they do, and he's
like that's all it. And there's no reason they should have won against any terror.
No, every time they've won, it's because of some rule break or interference or
hubris, like something just awful. And then she's like, "Yeah, just kill me, I guess." I don't know.
She just stands there. She doesn't even try to fight.
And I get that some of this is Sentai footage, but like at this point, I can't even have them be like, "Oh, well, they have to." No, just shoot American footage that explains the story better. Like, I just don't get it.
Or don't use this particular shot. Or you could even have her. Okay, I don't love that she's like, "You've convinced me, I'm leaving." But let's say you're going to go with that. Have her say, "I'm going to go off on my own and search the universe for answers." Fine, she disappeared. And then show them, because there's no mouths, just any shot of them be like, "Oh, can you believe it? She abandoned us. We'll deal with her later." But, not, okay, go ahead. Like, they didn't need to use this. And again, because this episode is so jam-packed, it's not like they needed to pad the runtime. You know what I mean? They could have cut this out and spent a little more time on something else.
Cut that out, cut the Phineas part down in half, cut that training in the beginning down. Like, there's so much unnecessary stuff, and then everything else you get 2 seconds of.
Yeah, the master.
This part was so dumb. He's like, "Oh, you guys are terrible. I guess I'm not in my final form, but I'll go." And you're like, well, nothing means anything.
I thought
anymore.
This is his final form.
I know, because they were like, "We need to wait till he's at full power because Leon and like that's why he like almost destroyed them and left, because he's like, "Oh, I'll deal with you when I'm at full strength." You're like, you're dealing with him at half strength, so I don't know. But
he could have dealt with him right then. Look at the side of his head. Does that look like an eye to you?
On the side?
Yeah.
Kind of. Like he's
Remember you were talking about the weird eye that we saw underground?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's what that is. And you know what? You're right. He is an octopus. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
He's like a skeleton octopus.
Yeah. So much of this episode is me shrugging, going like, I guess we're just going to accept this part. Okay. What happened here?
Okay. What happened is he was corrupted by dark magic, but we don't get to see it. He destroys a village, but we don't get to see it. He comes back and he's like, "I'm evil now." Again, this would have been interesting to have a whole episode where he's fighting against the evil and he fails and he succumbs. And then he's like destroying the village, but like being anguished about it. Like that's a whole episode right there. Or at least more than scenes we don't see, except in the flashback for part of it.
I at one point when I was watching this, I'm like, did the YouTube video not load correctly? And like I missed 3 minutes.
I thought that when they went to the village and everything was burned up. Now they did explain it retroactively, but it was an odd choice.
It was a weird jump cut where like all the villagers are like, "The Rangers are evil." You're like, what?
Well, and also that bothered me because after a minute or two, at first I thought they were like, "We're blaming you for bringing your war here," or some kind of thing like that. But it's like, well, when did this happen? But then when it became clear, oh no, they think the Rangers did it. If there were superheroes in the world, if there was the Justice League in the world, and Superman came down and blew up half of the neighborhood and killed half my neighbors, and then the rest of the Justice League showed up, I wouldn't be like, "Get out of here, we don't like you." I'd be like, "Hello, sir, how are you? Having a nice day? Please don't destroy the..." Like, what?
This is also the Magic Village.
Yes, so they should understand evil magic.
And know, like, the lore of the ancient warriors or whatever. Like, this whole thing was just so weird.
Yeah, but I did like that the main elf was Kelson.
Yeah, I did like that as well.
Yeah. It took me a minute because when I'm like, "Who is this guy?" He looked, "Oh, I know who this guy is. That's Phineas without his makeup."
So we've seen the evil ranger trope a few times. Mm-hmm. What did you think of it here?
Not great. Again, it was...
Really didn't like it.
He turned evil. The secret was revealed. They had a fight, and he was turned back within like 10 minutes. One thing I will say, I liked the fight. The actual fight was cool. Between Korag and him as Leanbo and him as Korag, or however you want to say it, like the two armors fighting. But the story was not good.
I had an issue with this.
Was it this face?
No, like the actual fight. So the whole Korag versus Korag thing, 0 sense. There's no conceivable reason that you could tell me it makes sense from a story perspective.
Because he shouldn't have the Korag armor because that's Leanbo's armor? Is that...
Yeah, like we've shown that Leanbo, when he was corrupted, was the purple version of Korag.
Yes.
So why, when Nick is corrupted, does he suddenly have completely different powers that are still residing in his dad?
I understand your point. It did, out of all the things, it didn't bother me that much. I took it as sort of like, here's an evil. The master's giving him evil power. The master had given Korag evil power, and rather than like invent a new suit of armor or whatever, there's like, oh, and here's like the evil package that I gave to him. I'm going to give it to you. There you go, like that, and that's just what he gets.
But he has the same weapon. He has the same. All of this, I didn't like it. Here's the thing I really wish they did is just get one of Nick's stunt helmets and paint it purple or something, or put purple accents on it so we could tell he's evil, and everything else is the same. Because as far as I can tell, this is all American footage. It's not like they had to use Sentai for it.
You think it should have looked like his normal Mystic Force suit, but just turned purple?
Or the dragon one where you just like put some purple on it. Because if they have to use the Sentai footage, is one thing. I don't think this was a Sentai fight.
I don't know that for sure. I don't know either way.
Well, play a little bit of it. If we see people in the background, we know it's not a Sentai fight. You could do like the jump cut. You don't have to like play it.
Well, oh, you know what? It's not a Sentai fight, because right here they like kind of jump at each other and then they teleport to the base, and we know this is American footage because this is the American base.
Which again makes no sense why you would have the most intricate and fragile armor fighting itself instead of the actual good stunt suit that you just paint up a helmet.
Well, I took this as this is the end of the series, and so who cares? The same way they're destroying the base,
but it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make great sense. It doesn't bother me as much as you, but I understand your concerns. I'm like, whatever. It's evil magic. I was like, why did he teleport them? He teleported them away so the other Rangers couldn't help. Sure. Why to their base? That makes no sense. And it doesn't until I realized, because they need to destroy the base because it's the end of the season, which is not a real reason, but you know.
I just thought of this. What if, because he is possessing Nick and can steal his power, you do a little bad CGI effect of him trying to steal his Liambo's power? It doesn't work, so he just gets some of it, and then you have him transform, mimicking Liambo and making up a power that he can do, just so it makes sense instead of I am just evil you because of reasons, and we have the suit.
I agree with that, because I do like the idea of the same armor fighting itself. It's kind of fun, but that would be a good way to explain it. You're right.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I'll even go cheaper, because that still requires CGI. Once again, let's fix it with like a line of dialogue. Have the master or Nick at some point say like father, because at some point they do say something like father, like something like the same evil energy is in me, or it manifests the same way, or some line about how when you corrupt someone, it's different, but you two are so the same that it corrupted them the same way, or something like that.
Like, it's so very clear that this is like one specific power set that's why I'm like, you didn't do anything to make me believe this at all, other than you just wanted to hit your action figures together for no reason.
Aside, did you like this fight? Because I did.
I thought it was all right. I was distracted by my frustration, but it was a decent fight.
I thought it was fun the way they wrecked, like they wrecked the base, but it was kind of in a fun way. I also I forget where it happens, but at some point the Korag, Nick, like throws his shield, and it was just like, oh, that's kind of an interesting. Like, you don't see that all the time.
Here's the other thing. If they're at the base, why is Fireheart not involved?
That's a good question. Unless Fireheart's hanging out in the sky waiting to turn Nick into a Red Dragon Ranger. But you're right. He should have, at the very least, been like, roar or something, or a little fire shoot out the side. I'll give you Ninja Steel for that.
Thank you.
But they destroy the base, and right around the time the base is fully destroyed, then he teleports him back to where the Rangers were. Now I'm giving the benefit of the doubt and saying that was Lianbo that did that, because there's no reason why Korag should bring them back to where the allies are. I don't know if that's what they intended, but it was ambiguous enough that I'm going to give Korag the. No, you're shaking your head.
This whole thing, there's no good explanation for any of it. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Tell me what happens next.
But how do they win? I'm not going to fight you anymore. You're my son, and I love you. Dad?
So dumb. I hated it. Evil. I hated it so much.
I know that's the way it should end, is like connecting and say not through battle, but through connection. It wasn't done well. And it's especially not done well because this was a chance to use, like they're shoehorning everything in one episode, but you had a scene of the father and son training together. it would have been good if there was some lesson learned there, or some connection, or something there that came back here, where he connected to that thing from earlier in the episode, but that wasn't what happened.
Or once again, dialogue. Or since this is American footage and he's in a Korag armor that the Master is a part of, Liambo could have done something like, nobody knows the corruption of the Master more than me. Let me give you a big hug, help you snap out of anything other than kill me, hopefully not.
Yeah. Or that would have been cool if he hugged him in his armor and like tried to suck it, and he started turning purple, and they're both kind of flashing purple red, and then they threw it off.
Anything different than this.
Yeah. So he saves him, and he's like, "Oh, Dad," blah, blah, blah. And then this is where Phineas gets fired. So we just skip through this.
So long. There's literally a pause where he goes, "Oh," and it's just tick, 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 tick.
And again, which I wouldn't have noticed as much, except for other stuff was just being blasted through.
Yeah.
So now they're back at base, and Udana's like, something's wrong. I did like that they brought the Snow Prince back, because I thought he was cool. And this was like, again, one of those moments, like I was a kid again. I'm like, oh, the Snow Prince, and he's hurt. Like, whoa, that's crazy, So there's like good moments in here. And so they talk about the Mystic Mother and the source, and I'm like, oh, right. The whole time we've been reviewing this, I kept calling Udana the Mystic Mother, because in Sentai, that's what I thought the White Ranger was, or that's what I thought she was. And then I'm like, right, I forgot until right now that who the Mystic Mother is Rita reformed. And I think in Sentai, it's not supposed to be the same character. It's just the same actress.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it is Bandora turned good. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, somebody in the comments might know, but we could look it up, but I don't look it up. But it was like, oh, what a cool moment. Like I was so happy because I forgot. So I got to have that moment of like, oh yeah, it's Rita. She's good now. What I didn't like, two things I didn't like, one less than the other. Barbara Goodson didn't come back to do her voice.
Yep.
I don't know why. She still does. I mean, she did it in the reunion. She's still around.
This is Disney era though, so it could have been because of that.
I guess, but they could have. Didn't they? But didn't they bring back other non-Disney actors at various points along the way here? I mean, spoilers, but I know, for example,
but not for voice. I don't think.
It just seems like it wouldn't have been hard to get a voice actor, is all I'm saying.
Because I know, like, yeah, there's other returning characters that are voiced by different actors than the original in the Disney era.
It just seemed weird that they wouldn't. But also, and I don't know what happens next episode, but I'm like, that's really cool. But we got her for like half a scene. Like, what? More? What are you doing? More? Like, because he comes in, and he's just sort of, go ahead.
The thing that bothers me about this, and again, they didn't know this 20 years prior, but everything in the scene completely negates Once and Always, which is like, I guess we're just not going to talk about that, but okay.
Wait, and Once and Always, she's Robo Rita.
Yeah, because the spirit of Rita goes into a robot.
I'd have to watch it again, but this is how it didn't. Even knowing this, it doesn't. My recollection is at the end of In Space, the Z-Wave destroys evil, and Zed and Rita are purified of evil, so they still exist as good characters now. But if you remember, before Once and Always, I think it was Dino Fury, or was it? No, I think it was Dino Fury, where they had Zed's staff.
Yeah,
and it had evil in it, and they cloned Zed from that. I don't think the Robert Axelrod human character ceased to exist. I think he's out there as like the true being that had been corrupted, and this is just like the evil essence that got put out into the world. And
that said, I think I forget if they cloned him or they like plucked him from time or something. It was something like that.
Okay, but it was Cosmic Fury, whatever. Anyway,
no, it was Dino. It was Dino.
But then he was in Cosmic as well.
Yeah, because it was a sequel.
Oh right, okay. Was it? But with Rita, I guess I assumed a similar theory that like okay, the spirit was put out from her, and then that spirit found the robot. That's how I took it.
That's fair. The other problem I have with this scene is they're like, the Mystic Mother is the most powerful of us all,
and she gets wiped out in like a second
by the Master. Yeah. So and the Snow Prince, my big complaint was he was nigh omnipotent. Why did he need anybody else's help? Both of them got annihilated by the Master.
Even made a point of saying that was your most powerful spell. Not like, well, she wasn't ready. And so this all comes back to brute force isn't going to win. And if Brute Force does win, if they just get some new Megazord thing and win, that's going to be terrible. Like, because they keep reinforcing that power is not going to win this fight. And
I just everything about this is everything's frustrating. Like I know that it's going to get resolved because it's Power Rangers, but like it's not in a believable way. I'll tell you that much. They haven't set anything up where the power of friendship or what have you
shows great courage and sacrifices himself. That will be a different kind of magic that could defeat the master, because it's not powerful. Like, it's not power. It's I'm willing to let go and give it up for my friends and for my planet. And there's no way that is the only way it can end to me. They can't win by brute force. No Megazord could win. No MacGuffin wand could win. It's got to be a sacrifice play, and it should be Xander.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't know.
Find out next week that it's probably not that, and something we're both going to shrug at, but whatever.
Well, meanwhile, Leanbow and Daggeron go to find if Mystic Mother's really gone, and like keep an eye on Genji, which is weird. Like, why? Like, take him with you. But okay,
yeah, this whole thing, I'm like Sentai footage. You guys are splitting up in a weird way because of Sentai footage. Then we jump to them fighting the Terror in a Megazord without any explanation.
Yeah, they're just and then Udana's fighting this guy, and everybody loses. They lose their Megazord fight. Udana loses her fight. Leanbow. This footage, putting aside the story, I really liked this footage of the two of them in the Mystic place, and like. It did make me be like, I wonder what Magiranger was like. I wonder if they spent more time in these mystic realms, because it felt very Sentai, like more than anything else. Like, it just felt like I was watching some other show.
Yeah. Them fighting the master here made no sense, but okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, I guess they felt like they were stuck and had to fight. Like, I don't know why they didn't retreat.
Again, simple 1-2 lines in any of these scenes would have made me, accept them more.
He's put a sealing spell. We can't teleport away. We have to fight.
There's no way we can win. We have to try to buy time for the Rangers or anything.
Yeah,
just
maybe
anything.
Can collect her strength. Yeah.
Also, when you're at the base, have some dumb camera rumble effect where you're like, "What's going on? Oh, the Terrors are doing a coordinated split attack everywhere. We have to go fight them." Instead of, "Hey, we're in the middle of a fight. We're losing again," because of course we are.
Yeah. The master sucks their power out. He explains how even good magic can make him stronger. So the idea is that the Mystic Mother was like, "Here's my good magic." And he's like, "Gobble, gobble, gobble." We didn't see this.
They're gonna overload him with the power of love, and he's gonna explode.
Oh, maybe that's it. That kind of, I think you're right. So they get back in this form, and then Daggeron's like, "Get out of here!" And he seemingly destroys Daggeron, which was the premonition he saw last episode, the episode before. It's like, okay. And then he's like, "I will avenge you." How? You're less powerful than you were before, but okay, I guess, again, you're stuck there. Whereas he should go back. If Daggeron's dead, then he should go back and help the people that are alive, but, whatever.
This whole episode, we've just gone, I guess, whatever. Like, I'm not positive on most of this.
I was entertained. Is the best thing I can say about this episode. It wasn't.
I wasn't fully entertained. I was distracted.
Okay.
I liked the visuals, as you said in the last scene, of the Sentai footage of Leanbow and Solaris Knight going against the Master. That looked cool.
Yeah. I understand exactly why you're phrasing it that way too. You're trying to be positive. I don't like that Udana gets kidnapped again. It's like, why? But okay. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to take you out because you have no powers." And that's it. And that's the end of the episode. So one episode.
I can't think of a time that I've watched a Ranger season where I've had less faith in a team than this. Like, this is just, whew, boy, just a whole bunch of losers, man. Like, they just keep on losing, but somehow not because of plot devices. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
because I don't hate the characters. No. Let me rephrase. I don't hate all the characters, but like them as a whole, they're just not a good Ranger team. Like, they're just not.
Still, I think we've said this before, but it's still that thing of like, this is how they should be in the beginning, but they never really coalesced as a team. And many of them never really found themselves. And then and the thing is, that could be true of some other teams too. they also never got like powerful, like just physically powerful. Like they've been losing all these fights too. So it's like it really, again, they may pull it off well, they may pull it off badly. It might be they overload them with good, but the worst possible thing they could do is win by overpowering someone, because they've never won that way in like this show in the whole second half of the season. And they went on and on about courage and the heart and all that. So that has to be how they win. It may or may not be satisfying, but that has to be how they win.
Like on every front that I try to grasp for like a net positive, it's like, well, maybe they've become better people. Not really. Maybe they are stronger Rangers. Not at all. What if they, use the power of friendship and we build that up for a while? Not really. What if the other characters come in and help? They haven't too much, and that's not on them. It's just the way the show is. Like, maybe they look cool sometimes. Not really. Like,
I do like the Red Dragon mode. I think that looks cool.
It does. And like the 6 Rangers are all great aesthetically. Yeah. Like all of them look great, but they're underutilized. And Korag should have killed everybody episode 5.
Maybe they look great. Not really. I disagree with that. I think most of the monsters and most of the Ranger stuff looks cool. I'm just saying, I'm not debating anything else, but at that point, I think you're just saying it to say, because
aesthetically those things are cool, but every fight I'm like, you're not making me believe that you'll win.
Oh, you're saying they don't look cool like in the fight. They don't do a good job fighting.
Like my go-to, and I probably said this in a previous review, is whenever I think of Rangers that are just like back against the wall, got nothing going, I always think of Wild Force. I etched in my brain, living rent free, is when they're all in the rain, they don't have their morphers, and they do their little thing, and they try to fight the big boss who's super powered up in civilian form with literally no power.
Right.
And like it's kind of futile, but like that's what they do, and they don't bat an eye, and they don't try to weasel out of it, and they just do it. And these ones had a whole episode of we're lazy and use magic instead of just actually do things. Like, and then they still lose. Like they're I can't root for them.
I don't feel as strongly about it as you do, but I'm not saying you're wrong. And my caveat is like, I think that's fine for the first half of the season, but at some point you got to like Ranger up.
Everything feels like we've hit like the first third. We're getting out of the first third. You got some new Zords, you got a new power up or two, and here's where we're really building you up and start to see changes, and the season's over.
Yeah. Are you at all excited for the next episode?
No. I'm excited for it to be done. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to have open options, because every week for the last few weeks, minus 1 or 2, we have both talked before the show and been like, all right, I guess you're ready to record. All right, let's talk about this shrug-worthy episode again.
I will say the last few episodes, even though with the flaws we discussed, I've enjoyed more than the previous episodes, because at least things are happening, things are moving towards the end. Like I'm not as bored watching it. Like I'm not saying it's the best Rangers we've ever seen, but the last 5 episodes of this season are watchable. They're entertaining. I'm not like dreading watching. Some of the other episodes, I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? Come on, But that being said, I am looking forward to it being over so we could talk about other things.
Anything else?
Also, we made the mistake of like having a couple big breaks, so it feels like we've been reviewing this for a year and a half, because we have, not straight, but like we extended it. All of that being said, though, I am kind of excited to see the next episode, because I want to see what they do. It's a finale. I want to know how it ends. And finales, it's going to be interesting. Whether or not you like it or don't like it, it's not going to be. If it's boring, that'll be shocking. Speaking of predictions, like 2 episodes ago, we were like, oh, there's 1 episode in between these 2-parters. Wonder if it'll be a clip show. And we're like, oh, and in the comments, it was pointed out there was a clip show this season already, and we just forgot.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So we're dopes.
Yeah, it was the Korag one, right?
I think so, yeah.
Like Korag goes over stuff, but
I don't even remember. Remember.
The thing about this season is we've done this in the past where we'll review whatever season's on, and then in between that season and the new season, we'll review an old one. And whether it's great or whether it's medium or whether it's terrible, it's like, well, now that this is done, we have this new thing to look forward to. And now we have no new Power Rangers to look forward to. So it's
we have one season that there's one season that neither of us have watched all the way through.
Operation
something.
Overdrive is my favorite season.
Look at that! Look at that guy. He had way more hair than me and a lot more hope in his heart when it came to Ranger seasons in the Disney era, man.
Yeah, well, I think what we talked about, we're going to take a break before diving into another season and do some indie toku, do some millennial versus Gen X or whatever. But that's not until we finish this, which is next time. And this is this time, and this time's over. So until next time, I've been Gazbot.
I am still the mystic big dog from
And
trucking along
truck it to
the power. Oh.
see you next time. End credits. I feel bad for anybody that's a big fan of Mystic Force watching comics.
They're just looking. They're like, these guys are terrible.
You are worse than me. Like I feel like I'm trying to be fair, and you're just like, no, it's all bad. Burn it down,
Dude, we're literally at the end. I can't like hide it anymore. I can't. Well, hide's the wrong word. I can't like
Give the benefit
look
of the doubt.
hopefully toward the end of like they'll redeem themselves. Don't worry. Like we're there. We're literally at the end, and we're like, there's so many other things I was waiting to happen that never did.
Well, we got one episode left, and if they
Last thing that actually has to do with it. If at the end of this, Claire comes in and gets all powerful, and then she is the new Mystic Mother, that would be more acceptable than either of the two things you and I said.
I think it could be both.
We'll see.
We'll see. Bye.